Welcome everyone back to another video of the Manny perspective. It's awesome to have you guys here again. It's been a long time since I've made a sit down video where I just sit down and talk to you guys apart from the podcast. But we do have a lot more podcasts coming. I just interviewed 2 bishops, so make sure to stay on the lookout for that. If you're in Houston, one of the bishops is from Houston. There's 2, so I guess you guys can take yeses in the comments on which one it is. But yeah, if you want to know more about why I haven't been making as many videos with outside stuff I've been working on, make sure you wait till the end of the video and I'll just give you all the info on that if you want to go check it out. If you want to go support the Manny perspective in some other ways. But anyways, today we're going to go somewhere that makes people, I'm going to say, just pretty uncomfortable. And I get it. But I think the reason it makes people uncomfortable is because nobody's actually explained it right. So that's what today is. Contraception, family planning, let's talk about it. Here's where I want to start. What is love? Not the feeling, not the butterflies when you see somebody you like, not the way your stomach drops. What is love? What is love actually? Because I think we throw that word around so much that we've kind of lost what it means. And if you want to know more about this version of love, you should go check out one of my videos. It's going to be on one of these up ones. It's one of my first videos I've made. It explains what love is and what society gets wrong about it. But anyways, let's start with JP2. Before he was Pope, he was a philosophy professor in Poland. He wrote a book called Love and Responsibility in 1960. And the whole thing basically rests on one idea. He calls it the personalistic norm. In simple words, it pretty much means you cannot use a person. Like, you cannot treat another human being as a tool for getting what you want, or anything of that matter. The second you start treating someone as a means to your own end, you've kind of left love entirely. You're in utility now. And utility just means using something for what it gives you. Like how you use a car to get somewhere. You don't love the car, you use it. And JP2 would say the second you start relating to another person in that way, you've stopped loving them. So this is kind of like a, the different side to the love video I made. And pretty much saying utility and love can't really exist in the same place at the same time. It contradicts each other. Why does that matter? Why does that matter here especially? Because contraception at the root is pretty much an utilitarian act. Think about what it's actually doing. It's saying, I want the intimacy of this act, but I want to engineer away the full reality of the person I'm with. I want you, but not the fertile you. And JP2 would say the second you do that, you're not really giving a gift anymore. You're kind of taking one. I mean, that's really what it is. And now I want to bring in someone that most people have never heard of, and I think it's honestly a crime. Most people haven't heard of this person. Von Hildebrand. He was a German philosopher. He was a convert to Catholicism. And Pius XII, the Pope, calls him a doctor of the church in his own lifetime. That almost never happens while someone is still alive. And what von Hildebrand figured out before anyone else did, before the theology of the body, is that conjugal act, meaning the act between a husband and a wife, has 2 dimensions that are pretty much inseparable: unitive and procreative. And meaning it's open to life, which is one of the things you have to go into when you're married. You have to be open to life. And these aren't 2 separate purposes that happen to coexist. They're kind of one reality. You can't say I want one but not the other. The second you separate them by force, you haven't kept half of something good. you've kind of broken the whole thing. JP2 built the entire theology of the body on that foundation. 5 years of Wednesday audiences, 129 talks, all of it tracing back to what von Hildebrand said first. And this isn't something the church invented recently to seem strict. Go back to Augustine, 4th century. He lays out 3 goods of marriage. He calls them bona matrimoni, which just means the goods of matrimony in Latin. And I'm probably not pronouncing it right, but good thing this isn't a video in Latin. Bonum prolis, the good of offspring, meaning openness to children. Bona fide, fidelity, meaning total exclusivity between spouses. So no open marriages. Bonum sacramenti, the permanent bond, meaning the marriage doesn't end until we die, obviously. And his whole point is that these aren't 3 things on a menu you can just pick out from. There are 3 goods that together make up what marriage actually is. If you take one away and you haven't kept a reduced marriage, you've kind of fractured the whole structure. Contraception attacks bonum prolis. When the bonum prolis goes, the honesty of the whole act goes with it, just as we just used an example of that. Okay, so I know what some of you are thinking. What about natural family planning? Because couples who use NFP are also trying to avoid pregnancy. So what's the difference? Is there even a real one? Yeah, there is a real one. And the difference is pretty much everything. Everything, honestly. Here's how I think about it. Let's say, for example, you're fasting. You haven't eaten since yesterday. Your friend walks up and hands you a burger. You say, no, thank you. Not right now. Now, different scenario. Same friend, same burger. This time you take it. So you have 2 different scenarios. One in where your friend offers you a burger and you say no. And one in when your friend offers you a burger and you take it, eat what you want, and throw away the rest, or just save it for later. Both times you didn't eat the full meal. But what happened in each of those situations is completely different. One is discipline. The other is honestly kind of disturbing when you think about it. That's the difference. That right there is the difference. NFP doesn't touch the act. The couple reads what God already wrote into the woman's body. The period cycle, the temperature, the signs that were just there, built in intrinsically. And they work with it when they choose to be together. The gift is still the whole gift. Nothing is withheld. Contraception changes the act itself. It removes something from it. And that removal changes what the act is actually saying. Now, here's where I want to go, somewhere most people never take this conversation. Because we've been doing theology, but there's something underneath the theology. Something that I think is more important, or at least the most important part. And it's the spiritual reality. St. John of the Cross, who was a Carmelite mystic, doctor of the church, and he wrote Dark Night of the Soul. He spent his entire life writing about one thing. What it looks like when a soul actually gives itself to God, not just a little bit, but completely. And his answer every time was pretty much the same. You can't really encounter God fully while holding something back for yourself. The soul that clings to anything, even something genuinely good, kind of creates this distance between itself and God. He called these attachments. We all know what attachments are. And an attachment is basically just anything you're gripping onto that you're not willing to hand over to God. And the attachment doesn't have to be something bad. It just has to be something you're unwilling to give, which again can be something good. How many times have we held onto something good because we were scared of what giving it up would look like? Honestly, sit down and think about it. How many times have you done that? How many times have we convinced ourselves that our way is better than trusting God with the thing he literally designed? That's the spiritual problem underneath contraception. The unwillingness to give fully. And that unwillingness over time does something at a marriage. The act that was designed to image total self-donation, total giving of yourself, becomes kind of a transaction. And you can't really build a spiritual marriage on a transaction. Sex is good. I want to be really clear about that because it's true. A real good. God made it and called it good. And the church never said otherwise. It's just something good. It's not something bad. But for example, food is also good. Sleep is also good. These are actual, genuine gifts God wired into our nature. But here's the whole tradition of Catholic spirituality. And here's what it all understands. That our culture has pretty much completely lost. The goods God gives us are goods we can give back to him. That is entire logic of fasting. You don't fast from food because food is evil. You don't fast because food is so good that giving it up actually means something. The offering has weight only because the thing being offered has value. Guardini, Ratzinger, or Pope Benedict said this man basically sparked entire liturgical renewal in Germany. Guardini wrote that the highest human act is not really receiving from God, but giving back to him, taking what he gave and returning it as an offering, not destruction, just giving it back. And that's transformation. So when a couple practicing NFP goes through a season of abstinence, when they choose to wait even when they don't want to, that's not deprivation. That's not deprivation. That's kind of worship. Honestly, Teresa of Avila came back to this over and over. The soul that gives completely receives completely. And she also says that the soul that calculates what it will give, God receives only what it calculated. Give God something good and he gives it back in a way you didn't see coming. Every saint who has ever sacrificed anything real, which is pretty much everyone, whether it was something small or something like sacrificing themselves fully, their lives, discovered that same thing independently of each other. You pretty much cannot outgive God. The sacrifice becomes the source. St. John Chrysostom, brilliant, pretty straightforward, so direct in his own congregation that it had him exiled, which I honestly kind of respect. He looked at contraception in the 4th century and asked, why do you sow where the field is eager to destroy the fruit? He called it fighting against God's design. Christendom didn't say things softly to protect anyone's feelings. What he saw was people choosing the utility of the act, using it just for the pleasure and just as closeness, cutting off the rest over its fullness, which is the real important part. And he understood that when you make that choice long enough, you kind of stop being able to see the fullness at all. The capacity for it slowly closes. And that's why we have so many studies saying that the more people you slept with before marriage, the higher chances of you getting divorced. This is something studies show now, but it's something that people like St. John Chrysostom said in the 4th century. That's 1,600 years ago. That's pretty much exactly what JP2 warned about. The moment you remove the possibility of life from the act of love, you've moved the relationship from gift to utility. And utility says, I take what I want and set aside what I don't. Love says, I receive you fully, even the parts that cost me something. And the difference between those two isn't just the moral distinction, it's a spiritual one. One opens the soul, the other one slowly but surely shuts it down. We live in a culture obsessed with authenticity. Be real, no filters, say what you mean. And then the same culture turns around and says yes, but in the most intimate moment of your life, go ahead and make your body say something it doesn't mean. Nobody catches that contradiction. Nobody names it. The church has been naming it since the 4th century. Christendom named it. Augustine named it. Paul VI named it in 1968 when the world told him he was wrong. And the world is slowly realizing he wasn't. God didn't design this to limit you. He designed it because he knows what love is actually capable of. And he's pretty much more convinced than you are that you can get there. So I invite all of you, especially you young people who are watching these videos. I mean, first of all, and I apologize for not saying this earlier, if you're not married, you shouldn't be having sex whatsoever. Any sexual sin is a mortal sin, whether that's masturbation or having sex before marriage. So that's first of all, and that's something I want to clarify to the teens out there. So, preface that. Second of all, I invite all of you guys to give up something good to God. You give up something good, right? Something good like sex. If you're a married couple, you can give that up to God. As you know, you've probably heard it before. Jesus should be in the bedroom with you guys, not in a weird way, just in a way where sex is something holy, which is why when we have things like homosexuality, and that's not what this video is about, but just to help you guys understand, sin is something unnatural, something being done the way God didn't mean it to be used or function. For example, that's why homosexuality, just the attraction isn't wrong. Just the same way as you're attracted to someone. What's wrong is lust. Just the same way as when you're a man and you look at a woman with lust. God says it. When you look at a woman with lust, you commit adultery in your heart. So it's the same way. Heterosexual people always like to give homosexuals a lot of flack and like to say that that's evil and that's wrong. And those same people are the same people looking at women with lust in their eyes. And you people are just as bad as the homosexuals dealing in sexual acts. So don't think you're better than them. There should be no justification between any heterosexual, any Catholic mistreating homosexuals whatsoever. And that's a conversation for a different day. If you guys want to see a video on that, I'll make a video on that. But the point of it is, God didn't mean for two males to have sex. That's why our organs are shaped the way they are. That's why God made our organs the way they are. He meant for man and woman to be together, not man and man. And that's the reason homosexual sex is wrong. It's evil. It's sin. That's the reason, because that's not the way God meant for it to be, and that's unnatural. So that's just a little bit of that, and I kind of got off a little tangent on there. But anyways, again, I invite all of you guys to give up, make sacrifices to God. And again, we're not making sacrifices so that God doesn't need anything from us. If anything, we receive something in return. So just saying that. Thank you so much for watching this video. For you guys that waited, I talked about a little bit earlier in the video. I talked about what I've been doing, and it's two big things. I mean, first of all, I'm at a nonprofit which I started about a year ago called the Faith Bank. We're working with Ascension Press and Rugged Rosaries and providing Bibles and rosaries to underprivileged youth. So if you want to donate to that cause, go over to thefaithbank.com and you can see more information on it. And the other thing I've been doing is building websites for Catholic parishes, Catholic schools, Catholic companies, Catholic whatever. If you want to see what my portfolio looks like, email me at mannyevangelizes@gmail.com. mannyevangelizes@gmail.com. If you need any information, if you want to do collaborations, make sure you go to Manny Evangelizes, ending with ZES, @gmail.com. That's my personal email. So if you want to head over and tell me anything at all, make sure you go over there and let me know. But again, thank you so much, everyone, for watching this video. God bless you all and have a great day.